Just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back for another video here on the Turn Up the Jets YouTube channel. I am Joe Scurto, your host, as always. Before we get into the video, please subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Like the video if you've actually liked it, and also follow me on social media platforms such as X and on Instagram at Turn Up the Jets, all one word. Let's kind of mess around my mic. But let's get right into it. Welcome to the shit show of the New York Jets offseason, starring Haason Reddick. He requests a trade. So that's the main thing. It is the most absurd storyline I have heard in a long time, that a guy gets traded in the offseason. I would assume that there was some type of agreement that goes, hey, listen, Haason, we're going to trade for you. You're going to play very well, and then we'll give you your money at the end of the year or maybe even mid-year. And my thing was, why would Haason sign off if the Jets were basically open that he wasn't going to get an extension until they see what he does? Let's not be oblivious to the fact that this dude is 30 years old. Of course, not really slowing down over the last 4 seasons. He's a top 4, top 5 pass rusher, and that shows in the sacks category. He had a down year last year, and I believe he was still around 12.5 sacks. If that is a down year, then that is an elite pass rusher, and I think that's exactly what Haason Reddick is. But he still is 30 years old, so it is wise that the Jets say, hey, listen, we haven't had you. You haven't stepped in the locker room. Let's see what you got. Let's see what kind of leader you are, and let's see what kind of skills you still have in the field, because I'm still optimistic that he's going to be very, very good, and I'm still, going to the grave that the Jets really, really need him to complete this, dynamic defense. I've heard garbage comments over ESPN already today saying that the New York Jets did not have a chance of making the playoffs or winning the division without him. I think that's a bit of a stretch, because the Jets have been a top 3 defense the last 2 years without him. Yes, they got rid of Bryce Huff, who was probably their most consistent and most dominant pass rusher last year. Even though he barely was out there 50% of the time, he still was. He goes to the Eagles, and then the Jets say, listen, we'll take Reddick off your hands. And that decided, and that began rather an absolute shit show that the Jets, out of everybody, does not need. I mean, it just doesn't end for this franchise. This would only happen to the New York Jets, man. A guy who literally has not even gone to a practice. He hasn't even put on a t-shirt, and he is requesting a trade from the team who just traded for him a couple months ago in May. You just can't really make it up. It's insane, but here's my opinion. So I think the New York Jets are to blame in this as well. You can say Haason Reddick is a piece of shit. Haason Reddick is selfish, blah, blah, blah. You can say what you want. The thing is, the New York Jets had to do better. There had to be some type of conversation that they gained that said, listen, this dude wants his money, and he might not play if he doesn't get it. The fact that the Jets are shocked that he wasn't there, I get it. With the OTAs and in the mini camp, who cares? Who gives a shit? But now training camp, and there's been no conversation between Saleh and Reddick. That's the thing that dumbfounds me, is that Saleh hasn't spoken to Reddick. You're the head coach of the team. He is on your team. This is no tampering. Why don't you get your ass on the phone and have a conversation with him? I mean, come on. I don't even know if they've had any conversation with, I'm talking Douglas, with the agent directly. I don't know if there's been talks. I would assume they have been. He's getting paid $14 million this year. Rumor on the street, he wants 25 to 30 a year. The Jets probably want to give him maybe 18, 19. I think they'd be open to give him a little more than 14, but a full extension, not even playing a snap, never mind, not even going to a practice and then demanding a trade. That's not a good look for him, but the Jets got themselves into this mess. Like, they shouldn't be surprised. I don't think anybody should be surprised. There's a reason why he went for a for a third round pick, a conditional third round pick in the 2026 draft. That is in 2 seasons. There's a reason why an elite pass rusher who has the 4th most sacks out of everybody in the last 4 years went for a conditional third round pick of 2026. That's it. Because nobody wanted him, because nobody wanted to pay a 30-year-old edge rusher. Simple. I mean, every team should be interested in Haason Reddick, but they probably knew he's in a contract year. And why the hell wouldn't the Eagles just keep him? Because the Eagles are loaded and they still, in my opinion, have a Super Bowl caliber roster that can compete with the 49ers, bearing another just downfall of what they had as they collapsed at the end of the last season. But they are still a very good roster. So why wouldn't they just keep him in Bryce Huff and just let the dogs eat? Because he wants money. And he probably already told the Eagles that he was not playing and he was not practicing if he did not get his money. So how are the Jets just absolutely shocked by this? That's what just gets me aggravated. And for the Reddick sake too, come on, man. Come on. He's already piled up over $1 million in fines. Now he's getting more fined as he's missing actual games in the preseason, as week 1, where the Jets won 20-17 last Saturday, took place. I will kind of dive into that, but that's not really important. It's important that the best edge rusher on the team is not at practice and wants to be traded, 3 weeks before the friggin' season. The Jets already said, no, we're not trading you. But I feel like there's been so many instances under Joe Douglas that this has happened. You know, you start with Jamal Adams, whatever, that would end up being a godsend, really. I mean, you go and get Garrett Wilson and AVT for 2 of those first-round picks, which is just absolutely phenomenal. It was a finesse job, but it seems like there's so many times that the Jets just cannot get contracts right, and they're always just clueless, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, Joe Douglas has been great in terms of assembling the team, but I do think he fumbles the bag when it comes to contracts, and he's not aware. Like, how isn't he aware? You can call him Trader Joe, but he failed on this trade right now. He absolutely failed. And no, I'm not upset by losing a third-round pick in the 2026 season. Like, you can't say, oh, you traded assets for him. You really didn't. But the fact is, you could have put assets into somebody else, somebody who may have been available. There's no one in the top of my head that was available. But again, there could have been other guys out there that might have made your team better. And you lost on him because you took Reddick, you traded the 3rd-round pick, and now he doesn't even want to be here. Both parties are to blame. I think what Reddick is doing is just, ridiculous as well, because, man, you've never even practiced with the Jets. How do you expect them to give you money and you're losing money as you want to gain money? I get it, he doesn't want to play $14 million. That's fine. I just wish there was a happy medium. The Jets go, hey, we'll give you $18 million this year. If you do well, we could give you a $25 million for maybe a 2-year deal to end your career. Spend the rest of your days with the New York Jets. I wish that was possible. It doesn't look like it. I think this is going to get messier before it gets better. And I would not be surprised if he's not on the field week 1. I mean, there's no reason for me to believe and be optimistic that he will be. I mean, dude, there's 3 weeks left. You got 2 more preseasons and you're basically into it. It's getting there. It's literally August 13th. So less than a month, 3 weeks, dude. And this guy wants to be traded. I think he should have, he bullshit his press conference. He made him be like a team guy. He's ready to get to work, ready to help the young guys. I loved everything he said, but he fooled all of us because he's not there. And he knew he was going to do that. And try to say it wasn't about the money, but it was. It's just miscommunication all around. It's miscommunication by his agent and the Jets, because both of them are like, what the hell? I just say, show up. At least come to the facility instead of like traveling as he's going to, I think he was in Japan. He was putting all Instagram stories up. And then he was saying that don't believe in the bullshit that you hear. Well, it's true. What everyone said was true. So We believed it. We were right. And I don't know why you're lying, because it was true. You want your money and now you're requesting a trade. Man, it's just an absolute disaster. This would only happen to the Jets. The Jets are to blame, but I think Haason Reddick, come on, dude. Like, nobody has ever done this, ever. Nobody's gotten traded to another team and immediately requested a trade because they wouldn't pay him before even putting on cleats. That's like the 8th analogy I've made this episode, but come on, dude. Why? Why can't you just maybe hold in? You go to the facility, you're in street clothes, at least you're there. You're talking to your teammates. None of your teammates know who you are. And that's the thing that makes it more difficult. This is not a homegrown guy. This is not a guy who's been on the Jets for the last 3-4 years. This is a guy who just got here 4 months ago. Not even 3 months ago. Probably not even that. This is way different. It's so much different than having a guy hold out like a Matthew Judon or what Chris Jones did last year. And I'm just mentioning really good pass rushers. And even in the receiver position, what Ayuk is doing right now, it's way different. Those guys rather, played through almost their contracts with that specific team, not with another team, and then gets traded and then demands that team to pay him. That's really just not how it works. When you saw the trade, you automatically think, okay, either the Jets are going to give him a few more bucks, or they're going to, or do this and pay him at the end of the year when he gets 15 sacks. Why not? It sounded like a logical move. And when you see the Jets get him, you say that's a tremendous move. And what Reddick does, it made sense for him to come to a team who can still contend, who has a good defense, a really good defensive staff. Like, everything made sense for him too. No other team is going to pay for you, especially seeing the way he's reacted to going to a different team. I mean, what team is going to take a risk at him now? They're going to give assets for him from the Jets, and now they're going to have to be panicked and pay for him right away. And if he does not like the contract, what is he going to do? Request another trade? I don't think he's going to get traded. I would actually be shocked if the Jets traded him, but I don't think he's going to play week 1. That's kind of where I'm at. I hope I'm wrong. And I go back in 3 weeks, I say, hey, I was wrong. This is one I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it. But I also think it would be the craziest thing on earth if he gets traded. The Jets already said no. I really don't see that happening unless it gets much worse and the Jets just completely refuse. Is there a happy medium? I hope there is. I mean, he's got to be realistic at the same time here. I mean, it does him no good wasting a whole year. He's 30 years old. As I mentioned numerous times, he's a 30-year-old pass rusher. In what world is sitting out a whole season for money while you're on a team? You still get fined. You're going to lose a lot of money. When's it ever going to work? Who's going to want to pay you a full extension after this year? Guess what? Nobody. Nobody would want to pay for you because they don't know what your potential is. Show them your potential. Go out there, get 15 sacks, lead the Jets defense to a top 3 unit, and then you're going to get paid. If it's not to the Jets, it would definitely be by someone else. Bryce Huff, similar kind of situation rather. He's in a contract year. It might be a little different because he's younger, but the Jets didn't pay him, but he got paid because he had a career season. He had over 10 sacks. He was really, really good. And Haason Reddick's Haason Reddick. So he's even got a better shot at things. He doesn't even need to have this crazy season. If he has maybe 13 or 14 again, like last year, he'll get paid. If he goes off and gets 15 or 16, guess what? You're going to get double paid. Both sides, man, to blame. But like, obviously, Jets fans are not fans of Haason Reddick right now. Like, let's be honest. I'm not happy with Haason Reddick. When it was in the mini camp, I didn't even really bother making a whole video because I didn't really think it was a big deal. And it kind of along with the Aaron Rodgers thing, it was a mini concern to me. I figured he'd come to training camp after the first week. Salah, blah, blah, blah. He'll be here next week. He wasn't there. Then I started worrying, and now it's just an absolute mess as he's requesting a trade. But I will continue to monitor this situation, as I know everybody will in Jets Nation and in the NFL overall. There's really nothing else but to just wait. You know, this is a sucky situation, and I don't think it's really going to get any better over the next couple days. You know, I don't think it's going to get better over the next couple weeks, but we'll have to see. That's going to wrap up the video. Really appreciate everyone staying tuned, listening to me just blabbing bullshit as always. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Like the video if you actually liked it. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm sorry, X and Instagram at TurnUpJets. All one word. Until next time, see ya.
Jets, I hear them say it now. Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me